So where did the MCU go wrong? For me. I am still unbelievably blown away that we have something like the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, really, think about the fact that there is a connected comic book arc. It literally replicated as best as it could how comics are able to have these gigantic crossover events and characters and storylines. And it blows me away that it even exists. And when I first got back into heavily collecting action figures in 2020, of course, my love of the MCU carried right over, and I could not stop picking up whatever MCU figures came out. But that has not been the case of late. The last MCU figures I actually purchased were from the second Disney Plus wave, and that's only because I had to in order to finish building the Hydra Stomper. So it does bum me out that I don't have that same passion and love. I mean, I had fallen hard in love with the MCU. But maybe this little retrospective will remind me of some things, and maybe you, and that perhaps if you have soured on the MCU, maybe this little refresh will open your mind for what's to come. All right, so we got to start at the beginning. Phase 1, Iron Man. This is in release order. And you're going to see exactly why when you hear these titles after titles, why this became the mountain of a mega power that it is. So we start with Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. That's all just recorded history at this point. I saw that twice in the theaters. I was blown away just like everybody else. Fantastic. Incredible Hulk, slightly let down, but also now, looking back, I kind of really like it. Especially because it's the best version of the Hulk in his rage form that we've gotten cinematically. I just love that version of the Hulk so much. Iron Man 2, still a lot to like in there. I've always enjoyed it, and the biggest dancing guy, Justin Hammer, Sam Rockwell. Duh, Sam Rockwell. Yep. All right, Thor. I love Thor. I am big into Shakespeare. I mean, I teach it. I read it. You know, I appreciate Shakespeare. So the fact that the Thor movie, when Kenneth Branagh, with his Shakespearean background, was bringing that element to Thor, I was all over it. And I'll have another. Like, everything about Thor was fantastic. Then we have Captain America, First Avenger. What's to say? I mean, I've gone back and watched that how many times? And then the Avengers. Which, having just watched in the last couple of months, still it really holds up. And I was even harder on it because I fast forwarded through the opening scene with S.H.I.E.L.D. and Loki, and that's never been my favorite part of that movie. But it turns out it really is only like 5 minutes, and then it just gets right into it. So yeah, that movie holds up. It's awesome. So it's needless to say, when you look at these, just from phase 1, it was a shock to our collective system, and it was everything that as comic book fans we've wanted, at least speaking for myself. It's everything I've ever wanted, and how freaking cool. Now, everything we know up to Endgame, so phase 2 and 3, I don't know if they're all bangers like my rose-colored glasses in memory are, you know, like when I look back. So I'm just gonna give some quick thoughts real quick as we relive this list. So like Iron Man 3, banger. I love Iron Man 3. That's actually one of our family Christmas movies around that time. I kind of lump it in the die-hard way. Thor: Dark World. Because of my, I'll just call it a band crush on Chris Hemsworth and the Thor character and the humor, I did enjoy it. I should say I enjoyed it. I think if I look back, I probably was a little let down on it. It's still not something that I clamor to watch, okay? So like Iron Man 3, I will. Iron Man 2, I don't clamor to watch. Thor: Dark World, I don't really, I have to kind of, if I'm doing a chronological thing. Winter Soldier, obviously, that is peak cinema right there, so amazing. Guardians of the Galaxy, duh. And then Avengers: Age of Ultron. Also, I feel like as fans collectively, that got a rough deal, because that's another movie that I really enjoy. And then Ant-Man. First Ant-Man, are you kidding me? What a banger. Now, what we're starting to maybe notice here is that through these first two phases, we are starting to see how each hero is not only through their origin stories like being developed, but also there's a cinematic style. There's a specific genre, which I found really fascinating. Again, with Thor in more of a Shakespearean type of feel to it. You have Ant-Man, which is a straight up Ocean's 11 style heist movie. You have Cap, Winter Soldier. That's a fantastic spy movie. Guardians of the Galaxy, just fun. Star Wars-y team up. It gave each of them their own feel, which I think was a really important element, because I think they've lost that. Phase 3, Civil War, amazing. Civil War I need to go back on. Although when it did drop, I probably watched that a handful of times right away. So I do, Civil War's awesome. But right now, hearing, I'm like, let's watch the airport scene. It's like kind of one of those deals. Doctor Strange. I always viewed this as my least favorite of all three, and that might get me some gruff, but it's not the character. Like, I like Benjamin Cumberbatch quite a bit, and I like the character of Doctor Strange. I like how his appearances. I like that he's an Avenger. That movie, he's so unlikable as a character. Like Dr. Stephen Strange is not, he's hard to root for. He's a jerk. So in all honesty, that's one of the movies that, I at one point in my fandom, when I first started doing public Instagram, I literally posted a ranking. I think I had it dead last. And but I just didn't like him. All right. Guardians 2, amazing. Spider-Man Homecoming, come on now. Thor Ragnarok, that is, to me, the funniest movie in the MCU. And it only just happened. So that movie came out in 2017. I watched that again last 3 months. It was the first time I didn't quite chuckle as much as I had probably the previous 20 times I've seen it. I don't know what it was. I think my desire for an all-out Rage Hulk, seeing the kind of jokiness and then knowing what we get with Smart Hulk, which was still cool, but it has a shelf life. So I don't know if that also factored into this last viewing of it, but it's still great. I still love that movie quite a bit. Black Panther, awesome. Infinity War, come on now. Ant-Man and Wasp, forgettable. Pretty forgettable. Now, and then we have Captain Marvel, which I really liked. I really like Jude Law. I never understood the stuff about Brie Larson. I think as a fan community, like that type of stuff, we just can't even engage with that stuff, to be honest, because it only, based on how these algorithms work, it only empowers. So like when people put out these awful garbage takes about real people or their characters or how they're depicted, they're garbage takes. But now we know we are rewarding garbage when we argue and when we tell people you're wrong. Just ignore, honestly, because if I don't respect anybody that is going to just put down that movie because Brie Larson's in it. I thought that movie was awesome. I thought that movie was really good. So then we go into Endgame. Peak. I can watch that all day long. And when Brie Larson shows up as Captain Marvel, come on now, goosebumps. The goosebumps. And then we said Spider-Man Far From Home, which I remember seeing with my neighbor Dan. He's a fellow toy photographer, Captain 1134. And the just lunacy of being in that crowd was so awesome. And it really did, it felt like everything was set up, which is why when the 2020 and buying and getting into Marvel Legends, I was all about it, because we then went from July 2nd of 2019 to July 9th of 2021 with Black Widow. And it was within that 2-year span where I couldn't wait for everything. I think there were, that's where we start getting MCU shows sprinkled in. But Black Widow, as much as I do like that movie and I want to go back and rewatch it now that I'm thinking about it, Phase 4, this is where it starts. This is where the wheels start falling off a little bit. Not quite, but you start losing a little bit of each movie individuality with that kind of sprinkle or casing of a specific genre around it. And it starts to erode to an extent because we go from Black Widow to Shang-Chi to Eternals. I do think it's the look. There's more of a homogenized storytelling and aesthetic, perhaps. So I think the multiverse saga Phase 4, they started doing a little too much, especially with the shows, which I do really enjoy. But it seems as though they took on too many projects at that point, and I do think from a creative standpoint, some things started to suffer there. So hey, I usually talk about toys and action figures. So hey, if you enjoyed this, let me know. I want to dive into the multiverse saga. I want to make this a multi-part thing. So do me a favor and let me know your top 3 movies from phases 1, 2, and 3 in the comments below. I'd love to hear your takes. Let me know about mine. Where do you keep Doctor Strange in your list? Thanks for watching part 1. I'm going to dive deeper into phase 4, 5, and 6. I'll start bringing in some of the shows and let you know exactly where that moment was when I stopped buying MCU Marvel Legends and switched fully over to comic book characters. Thanks for checking it out. And just so you know, every Sunday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I go live to talk about life and toys. So I'd love to see you in the chat one of these days. And in the meantime, have a great rest of yours now. Peace.